Everybody eats, usually at least 3 times a day. And so if you are a company that can produce a product that many, many people could utilize at least 3 times a day, and if you own the patent for this method of producing food, you can be pretty rich. And that's the case with a company in St. Louis, Missouri called Monsanto. Monsanto owns the patent on genetically engineered corn and soybeans, among other products. Everybody in this country and many, many people around the world eat in some form the genetically engineered corn and soybeans that Monsanto has the patent for. And so we have corn in Iowa, for example, all across the state, which is utilized as animal feed, which is utilized as high fructose corn syrup, which is utilized in many, many foods. Well, not only are grains being produced through genetic engineering, but also increasingly animals are being produced in such a way. Food for human beings, for example, salmon, which is very important here in the Northwest. Salmon is being genetically engineered, where the genetic material of eels are being spliced into wild salmon, and they're being farmed. And with the ingredient of the eel, the salmon grows twice as large and twice as fast. And so genetically engineered salmon are being grown by a Massachusetts company, and the patent is owned by a Massachusetts company, and they're being grown, the eggs, in Halifax, Nova Scotia, and they're being grown on fish farms in Colombia. So the idea is coming from the United States, but they're really being produced out of this country. But the decision is now to take this genetically engineered fish and introduce it to American dinner plates. Food and Water Watch, for whom I work, has been demanding that this food not come to our table, and that food retailers, not accept it. We have a program targeted at Walmart to get them to say no, they won't accept them, because they're the largest food retailer like in the world, or one of the largest in the world. They're number 3. And if Walmart won't accept it, then probably many won't accept it. And also probably the public will be more aware of the problem of genetically engineered salmon, which could pollute the oceans and rivers and streams, could mate with natural salmon and create havoc in our environment. It's not really appropriate that we take an animal for food, genetically engineer it, and then don't label it, and don't test it in environmentally sound ways. And this is our big complaint, that we don't need it. We have natural salmon, we have wild salmon. We don't need farmed salmon, genetically engineered salmon. The other thing that we don't need, which Monsanto would like to put on our dinner plates, is genetically engineered sweet corn. The plan for Monsanto now is to introduce genetically engineered sweet corn to our dinner plates. And similarly, as with the genetically engineered salmon, Food and Water Watch is trying to get Walmart to say they won't sell it. Because again, it's not tested, it's not labeled, it's not gone through the whole testing process for genetically engineered food. One problem with our system in the United States is that we have a approach to food production through genetically engineering that states that it's substantially equivalent to natural food, without any testing, without any environmental testing, without any testing of the impact of this food and the manner of its creation on the human being, on health. So unless we do these tests, we don't know. In Europe, the Europeans have a principle called the precautionary principle. And this principle is a principle of risk management. And it says that if we don't know the impact, then we shouldn't do it. Until we test and examine and see what the results will be with long periods of trial and a precautionary approach, then we won't do it. That's the European standard. In this country, in the United States, what we do is say it's substantially equivalent and don't test any more than that. So we should not allow genetically engineered salmon to come to our plates without more examination, without more precaution, without more testing. We should not allow genetically engineered sweet corn to be sold in our stores as if it's the same as other sweet corns. All we're really doing when we allow this kind of a product into our dinner tables and into our retail stores is giving a power to a patent, a monopoly to a company that it shouldn't have without more testing, without more examination, without more careful study of its place in our environment and its impact, its health impact, and its environmental impact on our bodies and on our earth. We don't do those things. We say it's substantially equivalent and don't do anything more. We need to change the way we approach genetically engineered food in our country. Other countries have banned the genetic engineering of food for human consumption. Other countries have banned the planting of genetically engineered food. They do it on the basis of a careful concern for human health and for the environment. Why don't we adopt the precautionary principle in this country as well and take a saner approach to the introduction of these new foods into our community and into our food system?